everyone. On this video today, I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of the foundation of how to hold your vihuela. This is for students that are brand new. They don't know how to position it on their lap, how to hold it at what angle, how to position their arm, how to hold the neck of their instrument so they can play efficiently. And I'm going to be going into those very foundational items, this foundational knowledge, because this way you can go farther. You can go as far as your imagination takes you once you know that, and once you can hold it properly. And this way you can avoid also bad habits. There's a lot of students that right away they want to start into chords and manicos and songs, and that excitement is beautiful, but we all humans have that excitement. The main thing is that we want to start with a good foundation, because that's how those amazing musicians get there, by starting with all the foundation, and it's almost like layers, and then they can perform beautifully. And I want all of you to be able to do that, to make your own music. And stay until the end, because at the end I also have a small preview of a song that I'm composing, and this is with my mariachi group, which will also be available for sale. All the instrumentation, all the instruments, the music sheets. So please stay until the end. Hope that you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Hello, so in this video I want to show you some basics so that we can get ready for your classes. I'm really looking forward to teaching you in 2026. So we're going to be working just through creating some good habits from the beginning, because if you create, there's people that have been playing vihuela for a long time, but if they don't have the right habits, that's why they get stuck on their learning, and they get to a point that they think that the really advanced vihuela players, that they're just like unachievable. They're just like unique, and no one else can match them because they were born with abilities that no one else can have, and that's not true, because it's just that they have good habits, and it's like stacking habits, habit stacking. So they have good habits, good techniques, and they stack them, and then they become like massive. Our brains cannot understand how can they play so good and so fast, but it's just simply that they have the right techniques. So positioning of your vihuela, and to be honest, this should be like this. This side of your vihuela should be right on your leg, and you don't have to wear a strap. The strap is for whenever you stand up, and then the strap comes around here, and it's for you to play vihuela in a mariachi and standing up. But for whenever you practice, you don't need to have the strap for your vihuela. You can just simply make sure that you position it right, and I do this all the time, and this is how I practice at home. Actually, it helps me a little bit better, because I can make sure that I'm not pushing or leaning or hugging my vihuela, because then it starts changing angles. So you want to make sure that you have this on your leg, okay? Or in this case, I had it like this, but it was mainly just for to keep it not from dipping down, because the reason we have the vihuela, we put it like this, is because we don't want it to angle down. We don't want it to be like this and practice like this, because then you're just practicing pressing down, and then you'll play like this. There's people that I've seen that they play like this towards down, and this how they got used to it, and that's a bad habit. You want to be able to have your vihuela slightly at an angle going up, and this hand slightly at an angle going down. And we can get into more details, okay, in my classes. But for now, I just want you to have your vihuela on your here on your lap, on this side, the big curve on your thigh. Next, we're gonna focus on the technique here, that is grabbing onto the neck of your vihuela. This is the fretboard, and grabbing onto the neck. And so the most important thing here is that you're always going to have your hand flat, okay? So we'll work on this, on chords and many combinations later on, many more things. But it's very important that you remember from the beginning that your hand is going to be flat. You're not going to be doing chords like this sideways, or putting your elbow or putting your wrist. No, it's all going to be here simple. You want to be able to maneuver through chords, and the only way you can maneuver through chords easily is by moving your fingers. And the only way you can move your fingers in the right placement is by having the right hand right here, aligned and nice and flat. There will be some tricky chords that sometimes we might need to utilize a different placement for our thumbs, like, like it's A flat. They're just tricky chords, but for the most part, we're always going to be just having our hand flat, nice and relaxed, so that we can do all of our chords. So this way we can just move our fingers. And on the right hand, I would like you to just to start working on this movement, just like this. And so what this does, this is allowing you to understand one of the most basic movements of the human body, which is pronation and supination. And so you need this to understand this, because we're not moving the wrist. We don't play with the wrist. We don't do this. Even then, you're still using these ones to move, your hand, but we're not twisting the wrist. That's the most important thing. We don't play Vihuela with the wrist. It's an extension. The wrist is connected to my arm, and then my fingers are also an extension to deliver the force that we're creating. And that force creates volume. But it's very important that you remember that your radius, this bone that is pointing towards you, when you have your thumb pointing towards you, the radius, and the ulna that is pointing away when you're pinky. Those two bones, the radius and the ulna, they move in this, they create this movement, which is pronation, supination, and that's being led by your muscles, your forearm muscles. So I want you to just start getting used to that movement, because this way, and keeping your hands straight. Whenever we play Vihuela, there's a slight angle, but you're still straight, and making sure that you don't do this. We don't play Vihuela like this. We should never finish like this. When you play something, you should never finish like this. You should finish like this. So even if you're strumming, you go like this. You don't end up like this. This is a bad habit, actually. This is actually, you're using your wrist, and this is very limited. You're not going to get too far. And this is why musicians sometimes, they think that they're really professionals. They're like unachievable. They're like geniuses, that they were just born with talent. But no, they started with the right techniques, the right habits, and they stacked them. And it's called technique or habit stacking. There are two different ones, but they all stack up. And it becomes a monumental, because the normal beginner musician thinks that it's impossible. No, it's just simply that they started with the right things, and over time, all those things, they stack up, and then they become complex, because we build complexity out of simplicity. So this is very simple, and then we can create something beautiful, right? I mean, you've seen, manicos. Manicos are actually the right hand movements. Any movement from your right hand on the Vihuela, on the world of mariachi, is called a manico. And manicos is what defines the Vihuela player. Let me tune up, because I put new strings on this. And there we go. I put new strings, and so they always keep, stretching. And so out of simplicity, just a simple movement, we can then build beautiful manicos that we can create in complex patterns, right? So again, the pronation and supination is going to be important, making sure that your arm is not twisted up or down. We're not playing like this, and we also don't angle it too much, because I've seen people that do this, and this is wrong. So you want to have, you don't want to play like this either. You don't want to play like this, or you don't want to play like this. So when it's straight, then you a tiny bit, because it's a strong position. It's a strong position. It's almost like when you're punching. When you're punching, because I'm a martial arts teacher, when you punch, you don't punch like this. You align your fingers and your bones. Actually, you align your bones with your knuckles, and so you have a strong position. And so even in Vihuela, we don't have it like this sticking out, right? We have it like this, nice and lined up, and then we can deliver through the fingers. Okay, So making sure that you have that and you are lining up right with the third string, the G string. You line up right there. Okay, and so your vihuela is slightly up. It's like an opposite angle, like this, because they cross like this. So we get into more advanced techniques, but the main thing is, so that I don't overwhelm you, is you can start with one chord. I'll teach you the G major chord, and there's two different ways. So we'll start with the simple one, just so you can start practicing just the positioning for now. So we have here, this is your fifth string. Remember that we start counting from the bottom. So this is the fifth. So you're gonna put on your second fret. Each of the spaces are called frets, okay? And then you'll put your pinky on your first string. So you have here just 2 fingers. Making sure that you don't do this, because there's some people that use the elbow. We don't move the elbow, we don't do this. And you can use this finger too, but I prefer you use the pinky one, because this way you start developing the use of the pinky. The pinky and the this ring finger, they're weak. They're the weakest fingers for the musicians usually. Or you can do it like this. Instead with the thumb, you can use your middle finger. So again, this is G major. So we have up here, 2nd fret, 5th string, 3rd fret, 1st string. And just with that, you can practice here, just strumming. We'll get into more in depth about how to do strumming. But the main thing to remember is, again, that you are going to be just nice and relaxed. You should never see that my hand is straining or twisted or with the pinky sticking out. There's some people that stick the pinkies out or they bend it like this, and that's a sign of tension. And you can't disguise you can't disguise a bad habit, and you cannot also you cannot hide tension. The body will show tension even if the person is trying to relax. But if they're not really relaxed, you'll be able to tell, because the tension on their arms, okay, on the wrist. So nice and relaxed, just like when you're walking around, and then you bring it up, and then you can just position, whatever. Everybody's forearm length is different. Mine is a little bit long, and I can still play the vihuela, and so it doesn't matter if it's the tall person, big, small. You just position right where your elbow bends here. Just position it wherever you feel that it fits. That is not, you don't want to be over here. You don't want to be playing over here, because you'll constantly hit the wood, and it's a bad habit actually, because you're all the way over here. That's bad. So you want to be able to play primarily right here, So that's where you want to play. On the rosette, this is the rosette, the design, and then so it's right here. That's like for el ritmo de los sones jaliscienses. But for now, just simply strum down. Yeah, or you can just move up and down, up and down. Remember, if you're going to go up, use just your thumb all the time, okay? But I don't want to overwhelm you. The main thing on this video is to get you thinking about your position of your left hand, get you thinking about your position of your right hand, understanding the biomechanical movement of this, of what allows you to generate the power and the movement for manicos, and the right positioning, and the relaxing. So it's already a lot, without even getting into playing vihuela, it's already a lot. But if you understand this, you'll be able to advance so much more once we start our classes. Okay, so that was pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching.